There's a reason contractors don't put these 5 things in their own bathrooms. We see what happens to trendy vanities after 24 months of real world use. Now, I'm breaking down the 5 most common vanity mistakes that look like a dream today, but become a nightmare by year 2, and exactly what to buy instead. Look, I've been doing home renovations for over 15 years, and bathrooms are probably 40% of my business. I install a lot of vanities, beautiful vanities, expensive vanities, custom vanities. And I've also ripped out a lot of vanities that are barely 2 or 3 years old because they couldn't handle what bathrooms do best, being humid, wet environments where people shower every day. So today, I'm gonna walk you through the 5 bathroom vanity upgrades that look amazing right now, but are gonna betray you in about 24 months. And more importantly, I'll tell you what to choose instead, so your vanity actually lasts. By the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly which vanity materials can handle bathroom humidity and which trendy designs create massive functional problems, and what exactly holds up in real-world bathroom conditions. You'll save thousands from having to redo your bathroom in 2 years when everything starts falling apart. If you're planning a bathroom renovation and want to make sure you're making choices that actually last, head over to the link in the description. I've got resources there to help you plan your project the right way from the start. Painted wood vanities without proper sealing. Let me start out with this one. I see this fail quite often. Painted wood vanities. And before you freak out, I'm not saying all painted vanities are bad. I'm saying improperly sealed painted vanities are a disaster waiting to happen. You usually find this beautiful vanity with a perfect matte finish, maybe a soft sage green or a trendy navy blue that everyone loves. It looks high-end and it feels incredible. But then you actually start using your bathroom like a normal person. You take showers, steam fills the room, water splashes, and maybe someone leaves a damp towel hanging over the edge. And slowly but surely, over the next year or two, the paint starts to bubble and peel and crack at the corners where the moisture sneaks in. The real issue isn't the paint itself. It's that most vanities you'll find at big box stores or order quickly online are made to look good, not actually survive a wet environment. They just don't have the proper moisture barrier. Once water gets underneath the paint, game is over. The wood swells, the finish is ruined, and you can't just slap a new coat of paint on it because the wood underneath, well, it's already rotted. So what should you do instead? If you got your heart set on a painted look, you have to be a detective before you buy. Ask if it has waterproof top coat. Make sure the inside is sealed just as well as the outside. Honestly, you're better off going with a reputable manufacturer that specifically builds for humidity. It'll cost you more now, but it beats replacing the whole thing in 2 years or just having a damaged vanity that you have to walk in and use every day. You could go with solid wood that has good water resistant stain or even engineer materials designed for wet rooms. But speaking of things that hate water, that actually leads me to the next problem. Real wood countertops. Okay, I know. Wood countertops in bathrooms, they look incredible. That warm, natural texture, the organic feel, very spa-like, architectural digest, pretty. Well, they're also kind of stupid. I don't care how many coats of sealer you put on butcher block or live edge wood. These bathroom vanities, they don't last. The humidity is relentless. And unless you're the kind of person who's going to reapply sealer every 6 months and immediately wipe everything up, every single water drop, every time you brush your teeth, every time you wash your face or shave or do whatever, you're gonna have something that warps, stains, and eventually develops mold. But what really gets me is people that spend a fortune on these setups thinking that they're gonna get something durable. But a bathroom is probably the worst place in your house for wood. In a kitchen, you're usually more conscious about cleaning up as you go. But in a bathroom, nobody's thinking about that. Brush your teeth, you splash some water around, and you just walk away. If you're really in love with the natural look, there are much better ways to get it. You can find quartz these days with a wood look, veining that gives you some of that aesthetic without the nightmare, or even porcelain countertops with a wood finish that looks like the real thing, and it acts like tile. They're completely waterproof. And at the end of the day, it's okay to just accept that some materials belong in certain rooms and others don't. Marble is great for a bathroom, but wood, not so much. Sometimes you gotta let materials do what they actually are good at. Vessel sinks on narrow vanities. I get why people like them. They look cool sitting on top of the counter like a modern bowl, and they definitely make a design statement. But they're also very likely to make you end up hating your bathroom. The biggest issue, well, is the height. Most vessel sinks sit 5 to 7 inches above the counter. And if you put one on a standard height vanity, your sink basin is suddenly way too high. You find yourself hunched over like you are at the kitchen sink, which is a killer for your back. Plus, if you have kids, they won't be able to reach it at all. And honestly, try washing your face in one of these. You end up doing this weird, awkward, lean in, splash move that gets water all over the counter, the floor, and your clothes. It gets worse though, because these sinks take up a ton of room. And if you're working with a narrow vanity, that bowl is gonna eat up most all of your usable counter space. You won't have anywhere to put your toothbrush, your soap, or even your lotion, because this sink is just in the way. You end up with cluttered mess on the sides or having to install extra wall shelves just to hold all your stuff. And because the height and the weird angle, you're basically splashing water everywhere every time you want to use the faucet, which creates more cleaning work for you every single day. If you're absolutely dead set on that vessel look, there are some ways to make it work. The best thing you can do is pair it with custom vanities that are built a few inches lower than normal to make up for the height of the sink. Or you could go with a semi-recessed sink where the bowl partially dips into the counter. You get a cool design without losing all your space or dealing with the splashing night. But if you want my honest opinion, just go with a classic undermount sink. Still clean and modern, but actually functional. And you can wipe water directly into the sink instead of chasing it around the countertop. Open storage, floating vanities with no drawers. Let me guess, you saw a floating vanity with open shelving on Pinterest and thought, that's it, that's the vibe. Oh, very minimalistic, super clean, very Scandinavian spa energy. And then you actually tried to use it, realizing that you have stuff, lots of stuff. And now, where do you put it? Open storage in bathrooms is one of the things that works beautifully in magazines, showrooms, and for Instagram photos, where a stylist arranged 3 perfectly rolled towels, a single decorative candle, but real life, you've got half emptied shampoo bottles, backup toilet paper, cleaning supplies, hair tools, medicine, first aid stuff, and 47 mystery products your spouse insisted that you need, and all of that is just sitting there on display, looking messy, no matter how hard you try to organize it. Floating vanities with no drawers are even worse because you lose all that storage capability underneath. Sure, it looks sleek and modern, but now where do you put your hairdryer, your extra towels, your cleaning supplies? The answer is you buy a bunch of decorative baskets to try to hide everything on your open shelves, which defeats the entire minimalistic aesthetic you were going for in the first place. Or you shove everything into a linen closet. Now that's bursting at the seams. Or it just lives on the counter forever because there's nowhere else for it to go. If you love the floating vanity look, there are much better ways to do it. The smarter move is to get one that actually has drawers built in. That way you get that clean, wall-mounted style, but you still have a place to hide your things. You could even do a hybrid. Drawers on the top for the essentials and one open shelf at the bottom for a few of those decorative rolled up towels and candle if you like. But if you want my opinion, slightly controversial, well, I say go with the traditional vanity and enclosed storage. Stop torturing yourself to make open shelving work in a room where you actually need to store things. Minimalism is great until you realize you have nowhere to put your toothbrush. Porous stone countertops. Okay. The last one. And this is going to make some people mad because marble countertops in bathrooms are gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. Very luxurious. And they're going to look like garbage in a couple of years unless you're willing to treat them like a high maintenance houseplant. The problem is that marble is incredibly porous and real life happens. You use your bathroom like a normal person. You set down your toothpaste and a little bit drops out. Or you spill a little bit of mouthwash, hair dye, or even some cleaning spray. Most of us don't wipe things up the second that they happen. But because marble is sensitive to those acidic products, it will etch the surface and pigmented products will leave permanent stains. Over time, those water spots and dull patches start to pile up, and suddenly that beautiful white countertop looks old and damaged. And the worst part is, once it's etched and stained, you can't just scrub it clean. You have to pay hundreds of dollars to have it professionally refinished, and then you're gonna have to do it all over again a few years later. If you love the look of marble, but don't want the stress, go with quartz. Brands like Caesar Stone, Cambria, make patterns that look almost identical to the real thing, but they're non-porous and won't etch if you get a little bit of toothpaste on them. You could even look into porcelain slabs. They look like marble, but perform like tile, meaning zero maintenance for you. Now, if you're absolutely committed to the real thing, at least go with honed marble instead of polished. It hides the water spots a bit better, but honestly, for 99% of people, real marble in a bathroom, it could cause unnecessary stress. Save yourself the headache and get a material that actually lets you live your life. Look, your bathroom vanity needs to do 2 things: look good and actually function in a wet, humid environment for years without falling apart. So better make smart choices now and save yourself the regret. If this helped, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the next video. And if you've already made one of these mistakes, drop a comment and tell me which one so we can all feel better about our poor life choices together. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching Built by Becker.